Welcome to the Songwriter Connection, the podcast that delves deep into the art and heart of songwriting. Each week, we gather around the dining room table to uncover the stories behind the songs. We invite you to join us on a journey to the creative minds of the songwriters who shape the melodies of our lives. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenahan.
Episode 188. Thanks for joining us. And every Wednesday, religiously, we just put them out and introduce you to a new songwriter and talk about the craft and being Christmas. Merry Christmas to you.
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho. I hope it's been a great day for you. Listen, I've got a great guest today. His name is Phillip Lammonds. And Phil, I got to tell you, there's a show, and I've had a chance to be on it a couple of times in Franklin, at the First United Methodist Church there. It's called 19 Miles to Music Row.
Right.
And it's a really great...
I've done that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the sound, it's a wonderful auditorium. And I watched a concert of you there. And like 3 songs into this, I said to my wife, Patty, I go, this guy is the songwriter right here.
Oh, wow, man. Thank
everything
you.
was so well crafted and so put together. And then I open up your bio, and it says... decades after crafting out the reputation of a songwriter.
Oh, wow.
Wow. You come out with your first album. Yeah. And it's been a journey. So I'm glad to have you here, and we're going to talk about it. And let me tell you a little bit about Phillip. Great band called the Blue Dogs.
Right.
And then his written songs for like Hootie and the Blowfish. Are you kidding me? Josh Turner, Lee Brice, who's a good buddy of yours. Kip Moore, Craig Morgan. You even wrote a song with Bill Murray, and I want to hear that story too. And then you've got this new record out, Cowboy Things, which was produced by Lee Brice.
Yeah.
And this year you played the Grand Ole Opry? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's been busy.
How was that?
The Opry?
The Opry.
Oh,
That wasn't any fun at all, was it?
Well, no, I'm pretty sure it's the died and go to heaven. That's the little vignette in your life there that happens. But I don't. I think I know who prompted it, and I think I know how grateful I am for that. And I know I'll never be able to repay it, but I can say this: you do that, and you have such a great attachment to what you just have been doing for all your life, and then all of a sudden it just somebody puts a bow on it. Now, I'm not dying or anything, I don't think, but I don't anytime soon. But I do know that I'm glad that's done for a minute, and they said they're going to ask me back because, knock on wood or hello in there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was amazing, just amazing.
Yeah, stepping into that circle has got to be.
Oh yeah,
incredible.
Yeah, it's just off your radar. You can't really go, okay, well, this is what that is. Mm-hmm. And then you just look up at 4,000 people and, I've done that. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's not often, but that was something I'm just looking up and there. I said, every eye in that room is on me right now. And I said, this ain't about me. This just is not about me. It's way bigger than me.
Yeah.
And it was just so precious. I mean, everything about it, everybody, every step. I mean, it was just crazy.
Pam Tillis was there with you, and Lee did a video, right?
Lee came in a big video, and in Lee's style, he was not. He's never going to be the guy that. He's not taking front stage. He never wants to be that person. That's
really?
Oh no,
wow.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Lee's ego is not even ankle deep. I mean, he
love that.
Yeah, he just doesn't have that. What he does have is a huge heart, and he just made sure that was. I mean, he it's back always with Lee. It's like, are you comfortable before we get going any further? Yeah, just what he does. That's what he does.
So one night at the Local, which is a bar here in town that a lot of people hang out in.
Right.
Everybody just hanging out, enjoying the moment. One of the writers.
Well, he is the local. I mean, he is by definition.
Yeah. Oh, he really is. They had to bribe him to come, so they had to pretty much pull him up on stage, and he did a couple of songs, but he didn't. He was like, "I'm just here." He wouldn't.
It's the best that could have ever been done.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk. You've got a new single out.
Right.
Let's talk about that one a little bit, and this new record. Let's start there at the album, because it was. And here's a song where you've had like 4,000 cuts, and then all of a sudden you're thinking, or did you think, time to make a record? Did you consider yourself more of a songwriter at the time?
Well, I really just did when you said I had 4,000 cuts.
Well, that's what that says in the bio. So.
Well, I think that no, I've written that many songs.
You've written that many songs.
Yeah, but you can check the percentage rate on that. But anyway, you'll never get a guy in here that says every song, every song I do is cut. But what was the question? I'm sorry.
I said the decision to make a record. Finally,
it was not something I'd ever. Well, obviously you go, well, what would that be like? But it was never something I tabled ever or even considered, and really thought it was a waste of time, and not sure that because I'm like everybody else. I don't think my voice sounds good over the phone, that kind of thing. And go, and everybody has that. I don't care who you are. You cannot walk away after you've heard your voice. Now, if you get used to hearing your voice, it's another thing. But
no, you're so right. I mean, even when I worked in radio, I did radio for like 40 years. I couldn't stand hearing my voice played back.
Oh yeah,
and I still can't.
Well, that's right,
because you hear it differently, right?
That's right. It's because I always love that saying. Hey, you have a radio face. That's no, I'm kidding.
That's me.
No, you're a hot guy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about you. Just hypothetical.
In general.
Anyway, So I'm with Lee a lot here and there. In fact, I'm leaving today to go to Texas with him. And,
awesome.
And we do a lot of collaboration. And one day he just stopped and we were in his studio and he said, "Look, we need to do a record on you." Mm. And it was sort of, I was going to be the guinea pig in his studio too, at the same time. But because he had really not done, maybe he'd started something else, but he was not finished with anything, and he was trying to stick me in there. I don't know where it was, but it doesn't matter. But then he gets behind it really, really in a big way, and we brought in, kind of a real unlikely group of people we brought in to do it, because people normally think of and I'm not going to name names, but there's an A list of people or double A list of people all the time that everybody wants, to get on that calendar and use them on their record. But none of those guys were there and didn't need to be. And the other context of it was, the eerie part of it was, he said that to me. It was like a Saturday or a Friday one day, and I get through the weekend and I'm thinking, wow, Lee Brice is wanting to do a record on me and produce it, and not 24 hours after that, I'm in Bass Pro Shop doing something, and my best friend in the world calls me and says, "Man, I'm sold my business and I'm just not going to be working anymore." I said, "Well, great, man, congratulations." He said, "I'm going to be like you." I said, "Well, how's that?" He said, "Let's make a record or something and have fun with it." He said, I said, "Well, you don't believe this." And of course, I told him about Lee. He said, "Well, I want to be executive producer." And I said, "Well, you could be a consecutive executive."
Consecutive.
Yeah. But anyway, it's turned out to be fun and just a big surprise. And really it was as analog as you could do. I mean, we did it, live.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm playing, everybody's playing while we're singing, and there's no click track, which I don't let one of them push me around, apparently everybody says, but could be a flaw. I think it's an asset, but
well, it sounds like it was real genuine and authentic.
Yeah, it is. That's it. And it's just you try to, it's not like I'm listening for or trying to get to any place that I haven't been. I just wanted to make sure we're right, and it was.
And you have a lot of guests on this album. Darius and Pam Tillis.
Oh, and both heroes. Pam and I have become, sort of kindred. I mean, she's my neighbor.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, and in one of her houses, she's my neighbor. But she, Pam is still just such a driving force. Everybody that her voice.
Oh yeah,
it comes in, everybody steps back. I mean, they do. And Darius has a similar situation. But yeah, it was just, I don't know who had, the whole thing put together, but I know Lee had done a lot of work to get those people to come in and do it out of the goodness of their heart for the most part, because Darius and I were friends, over the years, and we don't see each other much, but if we do, we can catch back up, every time. But that's, so it's just, the record was that kind of, front porch, or at least, living room kind of feel.
Love it.
The whole time. And that's the way we did it. And we just didn't come back in and throw a bunch of layers.
So the transition from songwriter to artist, was it a big jump? Or?
Well, it still is, I think.
Is.
I'm not sure where, it's kind of like that going from young to old. And everybody says, I'm old. And I said, when did that happen?
When did that? Yeah.
Yeah. And,
I hear you.
And I don't really feel that way.
Me neither.
And I don't care. But I wish you didn't feel that way, or somebody, who I'm talking to. But that's the thing. So it's really, with all those people, I just knew this was nothing. I mean, I just had to honor it. And just be there and show up.
Take it all in. Just
take it all in.
Had a great time, I'll bet, doing it. Yeah,
I did, and I've had a great time supporting it. Just kind of knocking around and playing at places. Of course, it seems like there's a storm in front of me all the time because somebody gets the lights turned out from weather. Like I had shows in around Asheville. That's a kind of a home for me.
Hit really hard by that hurricane.
Oh, yeah. So, and I got there the night it hit.
Did you really?
Yeah. So I was there for 3 days and 4 days, probably, come to think of it. But and we were trying to chainsaw out of the neighborhood.
Man.
But I mean, I've done that. I'm also from the coast.
Yeah. Charleston?
Near Charleston.
Near Charleston?
It's a town north of Charleston, Georgetown, and Pawleys Island is the area. Yeah, so that's where I've spent most of my life. And my kids grew up there, and they're there now. They
used to go on vacation like 10 years in a row down to Fripp Island in the Low Country.
Fripp's south of Charleston.
South of Charleston, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we'd always like to go up to Charleston. Beautiful town.
Oh, it is. And we're in an area where it's kind of off the radar.
Yeah.
Because there's no real highway that is going to get you there.
I read something interesting about you, that you grew up listening to your dad playing gospel music on your grandfather's radio show.
I didn't get to listen to it. I had heard clips of it, but I didn't grow up. He didn't do it at the time. He was really a little younger. And if I said it, I said it wrong. But he was younger than that when they was in a gospel group. My grandfather was a holiness preacher.
Oh, okay.
And he in North Carolina, and he had a radio show and fixed shoes.
Wow.
He had a shoe shop. Huh. And they would travel too to do both, but I guess somebody tried to mention this. I was telling the story when I said, that's what my grandfather did, and he said, "Well, just think of the souls he saved." And I thought, being a shoemaker, and I thought, I can't get away from it.
No,
you can't. No.
So your dad was a songwriter too.
He was a song translator.
Translator, okay.
Yeah, and a very good, reluctant guy to do. He was not. It wasn't about him either, but he had 3 brothers and sisters, and that was the quartet. Or 4. He had 3 brothers and 3 brothers and 1 sister.
Yeah,
she played the piano, and they were all kids.
Yeah,
and but all through my life. Both sides of the family. My mother and my dad got together through that relationship because my grandfather on my dad's side, the Lammonds, he was a holiness preacher, and then he would do camp meetings and all the that preaching and I grew up in all of that, and it was musically pretty rich, but there's some things you get away from, and you wonder how much, I wonder how much religion is versus, Dad said it best. He said, I'm sorry I didn't go to church with you guys as much as I should have, but he said, this is on his deathbed. And I said, Dad, we get it. And he said, yeah, well, here's the thing. He said, I got to thinking about it, and I've been struggling with it. And he said, I know there's somebody up there running this boat,
Yeah.
He said, but what I really keep thinking is if we do it, if we really put it where it ought to be, he said, God is manufacturing and church is sales.
Wow.
And I said,
that's deep.
Wow.
Can't argue with that. Hard to argue with that.
Well, it is. And so, and that's where it goes. And you see a lot of, really great gospel groups and this, and it's just like anybody else. There's treachery in all the middle of everything, So,
absolutely.
But I don't doubt that I got a lot of sort of help from something that I didn't know enough about.
Something watching over you, huh?
Yeah. So
Let's talk about Cowboy Things. When I first heard that song, I was blown away, and that became the title cut of this Lee Brice produced record. Tell us about that and that process of writing that song.
That was, at that time, my son Cooper was probably 5 or 6, I don't know, somewhere in that area, and he had always had, he was got a cowboy every year for Halloween.
Every year.
Yeah, well, I mean, and all year long, really,
He just was a cowboy dude.
Straight up. And I'm tucking him in one night. Well, actually, he wanted to get some, we got all the stuff you could get, each year, he gets this, gets this. And then he dropped the bomb on me. He said, Dad, I think what we need is sheepskin chaps. I thought, okay.
I was hoping you'd tell his story. This is great.
Oh, you know this story?
Yeah.
Well, it's true. I said, son, I don't think they make them to fit you, but I don't, and he's that.
And how old is he? He's like
6, maybe 7 at the most. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I've got a picture I'll show you on my phone, but of him in those. But anyway, so to make a short story longer, he said, I said, well, Cooper, I think it's going to be a lot of trouble to try to find that. I don't know that we can, and I bet you they don't make them your size, and just trying to whittle it off, and he said, well, Dad, can we try? And I thought, well, that's it,
we gonna try.
Yeah, if he asked me that, I probably will.
Yeah,
and I did. So I'm at Walmart, which might have been Kmart, but I can't remember. But
one of those marts.
Mart. And he's there with me. And Martha Grace, I've got her in her stroller, and she had already picked out her princess outfit right off the bat, and she was ready to get the hell out of there. And I lost Cooper.
Oh no!
He just disappeared, and I'm thinking, oh no. His mother's gonna kill me, and it's just the whole thing goes through your head for a second, and then I just kind of leaned and I saw him running through the bathroom section, coming out of it around the plungers, and I said, and he's holding this thing out in front of himself in cellophane. I looked at it, and it was a fuzzy toilet seat cover, and I said, I'm raising a genius.
Yes, you are.
and frugal genius, by the way.
Frugal genius.
So he settled for a toilet seat cover than going out and getting lambskin. But anyway, he was the impetus for a lot of things. But that particular day was what he said when I was tucking him in after Halloween. It was that night,
Uh-huh.
And I was tucking him in, and he goes, Dad, and he just could barely, he just catching his breath, and he had, candy corn all night, whatever you get, just stuffed with junk.
Yeah.
And so, his hair was standing on end, and I said, He goes, Dad, the coolest things are cowboy things.
Oh, man.
And I said,
whoa.
Yeah. And I went downstairs on the table just like this and wrote it that night.
Is that something you can share with us right now? That's beautiful.
He ropes and he rides, sitting way up high on 15 hands of Palomino mare. And that evening he'll meet a lovely senorita with silver conchas in her raven hair. Then the nurse stops by, she says it's time to take your pills. And he reckons there's a way, but he just can't find the will. Then he closes his eyes and he dreams of cowboy things. He's on a high desert plain, hands red from the rains, outside of Taos, New Mexico. Driving a white-faced herd with barely a word, all 'cause good cows seem to know where to go. And on the bedside table he rolls a cigarette. Says after 80 years now, they ain't killed me yet. Then he closes his eyes and he dreams of cowboy things. Now he's dressed up like a dandy, and he tells me he's headed to a dance hall tonight. He says, partner, could you help me get my boots on? If you don't mind, turn out that light. Then a rainwater tear starts running down his cheek from the corner of his eye. Like the coulees and riverbeds that he's known down through the years, looks like this one might be running dry. The little lights in his room, they all start blinking red. Oh, and everybody scrambling around his hospital bed. Then he closes his eyes and he dreams of cowboy things. Yeah, he closes his eyes and he dreams of cowboy things. Now he ropes and he rides, sitting way up high on 15 hands of Palomino mare.
That's awesome. Songwriter, right?
Thank you, man.
Dang.
Thank you.
Approaching a song like that, so you hear this line and you go, that's a song. And then where did you go from there? I mean, you built a story around that. You know? Did it just pour out, or did you decide the direction? I just want to know how that concept happened.
Yeah, I think it's like, I mean, you kind of need to leave the door open.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know if that's a practiced exercise, but it's like this. The thing that intrigued me about the whole thing was the innocence of how he said that cowboy things.
Yeah.
And it was because he said that was a word ahead of cowboy accoutrements or cowboy tack or whatever. Yeah. Even stuff.
Cowboy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the most innocent word I could think of coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And it just felt really innocent, which made me think of an old cowboy that was honestly a cowboy.
Yeah.
And that he didn't care who tried to be a cowboy around him. He didn't have he didn't have a bone to pick. He didn't have any kind of. He had lived a life.
Yeah.
And I mean, shit. A lot of this I'm making up right now because I've never stopped to think about it. Frankly, I mean, I just have never stopped to go. Well, I'm going to dissect this.
We always try to get under the hood here on this show. So,
and I appreciate it because it helps me think about the next one I do. But there's just a lot of songs that. There's a song on this record that I was halfway through before I ever knew what I was talking about.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Salt.
Salt, yeah.
And I get a lot of people talking to me about that song.
Yeah.
And what it means to them, and what it meant in their life and how it I said, I'm just dropping jaw because I had no idea.
Yeah.
And it's not, I got to tell you, I don't think it's clearly not me. There's a lot of help, but environmentally and socially and where I live and how I work and what I do, I'm in front of people that are every day that are brilliant songsmith and just weave tapestries of amazing all the time. And I think some of that rubs off, and I just I don't know, and I'm sure you have to practice it.
Yeah,
you got to practice it.
Yeah,
but that I think it's funny because I think anything can be a song, really.
Yeah,
truly anything, and maybe if you put it the way I guess I should put it is, actually everything is a song.
Wow,
I think that's more like it.
Everything is a song like that. Let's take a little break here. We'll come back. We'll talk about beginnings.
Cool.
You're listening to the Songwriter Connection with Dave Linehan. Find us on Facebook and YouTube at the Songwriter Connection Podcast. And find Dave at thedaveconnection.com. Now back to the show with your host, Dave Linehan.
And of course, need I remind you, if you're on YouTube watching this, although we're not a video podcast, click like and subscribe because that does help us. Phillip Lammonds is our guest today.
Yeah, man.
A songwriter. Where did it start for you? I mean, we talked a little bit about, Dad and the gospel songs and your grandpa's radio show. When did you first pick up that guitar and say, I'm going to write a song?
Write a song? I think it was probably my last year of college, which is also my first year of college, practically, and my only year of college. Although I went. And
you went?
Yeah, I was there.
Where'd you go?
I just did college in Charleston.
Charleston, okay.
Took a lot of victory laps.
There you go.
And anyway, I think it was that. I had gotten a Stratocaster for Marty Martinez, who was in the Hollywood Squares, which was a band in Charleston.
Okay.
And I lived in the fraternity house, and I bought this guitar, and I just started messing with it. I was really playing it, and I wrote a song called "Hope She Falls in Love." Mm. And that was a song that I actually played at maybe two, I know for sure, one of Hootie and the Blowfish members' weddings.
Ah.
And that was that. That was it. That was the first song.
Mm-hmm.
And but beyond that, I didn't really ever consider it. It took a while to consider it a real live avocation. Where you're not gonna.
Yeah.
You got to immerse into it. And you got to find out a little more about it, and that's where.
Yeah.
I think it was a record company. It might have been Rounder because I wasn't having the negotiations, but one of my band member buddies who was sort of the
from the Blue Dogs.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about Hootie, so let's talk about that. Was your first really big cut, wasn't it? Or was it?
Oh, totally, yeah.
Totally?
It was my big thing. And
One Love.
One Love.
Yeah.
And that was, I wrote it with Mark Bryan, who was the guitar player. And it just kind of, it was one of those things that we kind of argued over the fact that the title was, not cliche, but it had been written well a bunch of times.
Yeah. You think about the reggae song,
Well, that and U2 after that,
U2,
and I'm sure 100 others. But what occurred to us simultaneously was, if all of those people recorded this song, that title, it must be good.
Must be a good title. And that doesn't bother me when I sit down to write either anymore, because if you find a different way to write it, and you try to write it,
and likely, in my business, if I had to go fish and find every song that every time I write a song, do I need to go clear it with with the powers that be? It's probably not gonna work out. So I just write it.
Yeah.
And and absent of, in fact, I may go, well, I'll look that song up so I don't get out of line, and because I have a publisher that they get it and they don't want it a wasted copyright.
Right. Exactly. So you write this song, and it gets to Hootie, and they record it. But I mean, the whole process there. How did it? Yeah.
You can imagine. All right, so the Blue Dogs were sort of an ancillary band to the Hootie and Blowfish. Hootie had the momentum, and they drug a lot of us behind them.
I got you.
Intentionally, they're just very, very genuine people, and
we talk about all boats rising with the tide. So.
Exactly, but they were making damn sure they had the thumb in the hole.
I love to hear that, man.
Yeah, they were making sure of it, and they really went to a lot of trouble to, give all their buddies a leg up, get on the train if we can. It was
that's awesome.
You had every lane wide open to Hootie if as long as you were honest about their agenda.
Yeah,
and that's what happened. And I got a call from Mark, literally just a phone call, because this record was the second, maybe or third, second, I can't remember. But Mark Bryan called me, and we just both had gotten cell phones.
Okay.
Yeah, like the flip phone thing, I think. It's that period of time. And he called me and said, man, we're doing a record with Don Gayman, who we had used as the Blue Dogs. The Blue Dogs used Don Gayman one time. And we were really, he was admirable, and we knew what he could do, and it was a big, exciting thing. So we were happy to have that experience. But Don, I think, mentioned to Mark, said, man, why don't you call, we need to use Nashville songwriters on this next record, because people that do it.
Yeah.
Well, I was Mark's Nashville songwriter. I was no more Nashville than anybody. I didn't live in Nashville. I didn't eat.
But you were making trips in, weren't you?
Yeah, I was, but I wasn't eating at Brown's Diner every day.
Love that place.
Oh, who doesn't? So Mark said, "You're my Nashville songwriter." I said, "All right, I'm coming." I didn't talk myself out of it, because he could have called the rest of any of the other guys in the band. But I had kind of written what we had mostly, and Bobby and Hank were always involved, and then Hank would have things. So we just dropped stuff in the Blue Dogs, but it was really, everybody kind of came at it at the same time.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
But anyway, so Mark just said that. I go up there, and I was the lucky one who got that straw, I guess. But anyway, we started with the song, and I said, man, and he goes, this is around the Iraqi war, around that period of time. And he said he wanted to get in there and get some bloodshed and stuff, stuff that really mattered to the world. And I said, I said, man, I don't think we can pull that off. But I said, if we need to kill somebody, we will. But
in a song,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I said, but I said, let's just do it and see how it goes. I guess you're Hootie and the Blowfish, and I'm not. So, and frankly, it circled back, and everything that could go wrong did on that song, till it got cut and put out, and it had to do with things like that was when we did things on a cassette tape.
Oh yeah,
that was our
yeah
demo.
Yeah,
me and Mark playing
little work tape on
a cassette.
Yeah,
and I'd played it so many times to get that right.
Yeah,
on that cassette, we'd run it back and erase and do whatever you do.
Yeah.
And what was happening is we got the song written, put together, and we recorded it on a cassette tape.
Right.
I'm talking about Xerox or whatever, and I'm thinking, well, it'll take its course. It does what it does, and then Darius liked it, and when he heard it, and then listened all the way through, and of course we'd killed somebody in the song, and as we were arguing about, but we did. But anyhow, so that happened, and then they come to Nashville to start tracking the record.
Yeah,
all the focus groups were happy with what they heard. Mm-hmm. When he got to Nashville, he didn't have the tape. Mark didn't have the tape. And that was the recording. That was it.
That was
the only recording. And it was me and him in his den in Allendale, South Carolina.
Imagine they had the charts and the lyrics, huh? No?
No.
Oh, no.
Neither one of us did that shit. And kind of still don't. But, and I mean, it was easily probably my job, and because he was Mark Bryan, Hootie the Blowfish. Although, back to that, they're as humble as they can be, and as kind as they can be, and you just feel like, gosh, I screwed up. And so anyway, I happened to be in Nashville, writing that week that they were here recording.
Okay.
And Mark calls me, and he said, dude, do you have anything you can do on this so we can get a track down? And I mean, nothing. Zero. And I said, where are y'all? He said, tell me. I said, shit, I'm in Nashville right now too.
Yeah.
He said, well, get over here. I literally went over there and played the whole song on the guitar and sang it.
Wow.
And killed the guy in it, just like I did, didn't want to, and we did that, and then they cut it.
Uh-huh.
Focus group said it's the single.
Oh, cool.
So they're going in to cut. I don't know. I guess listeners here need to know. I mean, what happens is we write the song. We try to, record it into some fashion. Now we can do it on our telephones, and we've got it, and we can send it, blah, 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 blah. But it used to be in a cassette tape.
Right.
And you'd have to, get it doubled to get another copy of it. And so it was really silly, but it was the way it was. But thinking back on it, silly, but that's the way we did it.
Yeah.
And
they tracked that.
And they would, the band would come in, tracking is the band, just listening to the sounds of the song. And some of these guys can, read music before it's written, so they hear it and they know what the note is. So it's all of that.
Yeah, crazy.
That's a whole nother story. But we got it tracked, which means nobody's sung it yet.
Right.
Well, that happened, and then probably 4 weeks later, I'm in my bedroom, and I was just falling asleep at about 10 o'clock one night, and I get a phone call. It was Darius. He said, dude, I'm trying to sing this song right now, and it's way too bloody. It's way too political, and I've been saying it for the whole time. He said, I can't sing this. I said,
can't do it this way.
I said, is it because you're Hootie the Blowfish? He said, well, yeah. I said, can you give me a minute? And he said, what do you mean? I said, and then Mark gets on. He says, just go write another verse and send it to us. And Rebecca was she was asleep right beside me.
Your wife, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, honey, I got to write another verse. She said, what? I said, go downstairs.
Isn't that something?
So I went downstairs and wrote it and called them back over the flip phones we had. and Don Gaiman put the microphone to the phone, and it had that verse. I just sang the verse. And I can't tell you what that first throwaway verse was.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you, if you knew what that was.
I can't remember. It's,
yeah,
blood,
guts.
shed, some dying.
Right.
And then Darius did a little scat thing in there that had that was sort of free floated,
Yeah.
But
well, how interesting!
Lying
is that?
and dying and all that stuff. He threw that in there. That was in the cut.
Wow.
But
can you play us a little bit of that?
I don't know, man.
Just a little, just a touch
like,
of it.
Sunshine on the horizon, over two young lovers as it's going down. Somewhere the same sun rising on another two lovers as the world goes round. Same scene plays over and over, same passion, same red blood. Softly speaking the universal language. So many lovers, but only one love. One love might make a difference. Might take the walls and tear them down. One light might keep on shining if we take one love and spread it around.
Awesome. Phillip Lammonds is our guest. Hootie and the Blowfish, big hit with that. And it's just a really cool story that you, while they're recording, you go downstairs and write the second verse.
Yeah, in my bedroom.
How cool is
500 miles away.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you about, there's a song on this album, your new album, Cowboy Things, that you co-wrote with Bill Murray.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bill Murray. Well, tell us that story.
Well, it's kind of a Blue Dog oriented story because Bill Murray is a Blue Dog fan.
Yeah.
And we got to know him years ago, just here and there. And he's a Charleston.
Yeah.
Local,
around that area, right?
Yeah. Well, he lives around there about half the time. But he would be at every show we did.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't matter. He would come.
Wow.
And not really to be seen. I mean, it was not that. You
just to enjoy the music.
Well, but you'd look out there and it's like, where's Waldo? Well, I had this song that is on the record that I wrote with Tiffany Goss and Hannah Dasher, who are both monsters of talent and great people. But we wrote "Love Is Love Is Love."
Yeah, it's a good song, great song.
And
Darius is on that one, right?
Darius is on
the
song.
record.
He's on that song.
Yeah,
but I played that song at the Blue Dog annual Christmas show, which is really more of a after Christmas show, but it's a show, and it's been going on for years and years. Well, everybody's there. It's packed. It's at the music hall there, and it's a big thing. And we've had a lot of fun with it, even when I haven't been in the Blue Dogs, as an active member.
Yeah,
I think you're always a Blue Dog.
Yeah.
But
once a Blue Dog, always a Blue Dog.
Always a Blue Dog. But I knew he was there because he always is. He always was. And I came out and did it. But I did a solo set that night, just 3 songs, I think, just by myself.
Okay.
And that was Bobby's idea. And Bobby was, they're all really good about not being selfish and not being, they really care. And they they want you to do as well as anybody ever does. And that's just their heart. That's the Blue Notes.
Right, yeah.
And anyway, so I played those songs, and I come backstage, and he's standing there.
It's Bill Murray, right?
Yeah, he's standing right there. I think I have it on my phone where I took a picture of another guy that's always around. I love him to death, and he was in the picture, and Bill Murray's back there, with his grin. But he said, "Do you think we could ever write a song?"
Whoa.
I said, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure we could do that."
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Let me check my schedule.
Yeah. So it wasn't, it was right after that. We were, sitting down at his place, and it started that Mark was going to be on part of it. He heard about it, and Mark was going to be on it. And Mark he got called away for something and couldn't do it. And we ended up going to Bill Murray's hamburger place and to Bill Murray's this, that, and the other place. But it was, Bill Murray Day.
Bill Murray Day.
In my life.
In your life.
But anyway, we wrote this song, and he had the idea.
Yeah.
He said, I'm supposed to fall in love. And I'd had that idea before, and I think I had pitched it to people.
Yeah.
And it was sort of, Nashville particularly goes through these spells of, taboo things. And I think at that time, love was taboo, or something.
Yeah.
You don't say that.
You don't put love in a song. I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's funny,
yeah.
It's funny how that works. But and I don't want to digress too much, but Bill, he had that idea, and I said, well, this is it. I'm going to write that idea now.
Now's the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing is he had this manila folder that was, I'm talking about dog-eared, tattered, wore out, beat to death.
Wow. Just
this manila folder stuffed with everything but a sandwich. And he had that's what he laid down on the coffee table. He had that, and he was like, can we go through this a little bit? I said, well, I think we got an idea we should look at. You said it already. And he said, yeah, you really like that? I said, I love it. And because it's very honest. And I thought if he was going to write something, he doesn't need to be funny.
No.
I said, it's not about that. And so, again, we're sitting there, and there was this thing written across the page, or written across the outside folder of that manila folder. And there's stuff all written all around it, but it just kind of showed up, and it was, I don't know if it's red or not. Doesn't matter what it was in, but I saw it. It just showed up like a license plate.
Just hit you.
Yeah, and it said, there's no explanation, easy way out, or a clue. I'm overcome with consumption like I'm broke down with the flu.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that's Bill Murray with everything in his heart, everything in his soul, everything at one time.
Yeah.
That, deals with struggle, deals with just that one line.
Right.
And that was something he had just written down. And consumption. Who says consumption?
Yeah.
What was that, tuberculosis or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
TB. Yeah, back in the day.
And I got a little heat from people right off the bat. Do we have to say consumption? We want to cut it. I said, no, you don't have to say consumption. You just can't cut it. But
yeah.
So we've had that, but that song, it just came out of nowhere. And frankly, we didn't get it done that day, and we had to do it over a Zoom, essentially.
Yeah.
This was after his wife had passed.
Oh, boy.
And
wow.
And he called, and he was in Puerto Rico, and he said, "Do you think we could take a look at that song?" And I'd looked at it 1,000 times and said, "I'm not going to go any further till I got him to talk about it." And turns out his kids and my kids know each other, and yeah, and in college, my son and his son are actually both named Cooper.
Both named Cooper.
Yeah, and
awesome.
But I don't
So again,
I don't hang out with him, and nobody really does.
So how cool! I mean, again, going back to Under the Hood and how songs are written. So you see a beautiful line like that.
Yeah. I wouldn't have written that line had I not known he said it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it just wouldn't have. It didn't matter, but it was just that dose of sort of irony and cliche, and mixed with a little bit of, just funky.
Yeah.
Fun.
I guess the question I want to ask you is: did it sing to you? Could you hear a melody in that right away?
Yeah. Well, the real thing was, he, and of course he did this. I've heard him. We were doing something, and he was in another room. He says, "Think Randy Newman."
Ooh, there you go.
And so I did. I'm a big Randy Newman fan, and I don't play piano, but I ended up. We finished it on the piano because he could hear it over the Zoom call.
Right. Yeah.
But that day I think he was making coffee or something, and he said, "Think Randy Newman." So that melody became really simple, and it's like. It's just 1, 6 minor, 4, 5.
Yeah. And if you don't know the Nashville number system, check it out and know it. It's going to help you.
Yeah, I don't know it.
Well, you knew enough of it.
Yeah, I do. I know enough.
Even if you know just a little bit, that little bit of theory is going to help you as a songwriter.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's the language.
Yeah, it is the language.
Yeah.
So I want to give you a chance. The new album is called Cowboy Things, produced by Lee Brice, and it is just chock full of amazing songs. That particular song is Supposed to Fall in Love with Bill Murray. It's on that record. So it's out there wherever, as we say, wherever you steal your music. Available on vinyl, is it? Because I'm a vinyl junkie.
Yeah. You know what I didn't do? I should get you one.
Oh, I'd love to have.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, awesome. I would love that. So it's a great album, Cowboy Things. And you've got a couple of singles out now that aren't part of that album.
Right.
Do you want to share one of those and tell the story? I love The Dogs Don't. And
you'll hear that?
Oh, yeah. I love that song. And I'd love to hear the story behind it. And
that story, there's a quiet, well, I'll say this. There's a loud genius floating around this town. He's dangerous.
Loud genius?
Yeah. Yeah, I say that. He's a precious man, and he's a very brilliant man. Kevin Mack is his name, and he's from Virginia Beach. And, we're both sort of Carolina poisoned.
Yeah.
And which we love. And you got to be, you don't get it easy, put it like that. Mm-hmm. But he had this idea, and it was just the point was, well, you hear it in the hook,
okay,
but we had to, it's almost like one of those songs where you call it a dog song. I definitely call it a dog song every time I play it.
Yeah,
and everybody's listening for the dog reference,
right?
And I think I always think I've done something, or we've done something as writers, if the hook shows up in a place that you never thought it would be, except in this case, when it is in the place you thought you would be, it's the thing you thought you were listening to before. It's a number of things,
Gotcha. I follow you.
And I was really into the 2-chord. This is a 2-chord.
Gotcha.
Then the 4. Lord, I know you love me. Bible tells me so. It goes on to say you're everywhere. I know there's a lot of things I just don't know. So I thought I'd ask you in a prayer. I don't mean no disrespect. I just need to get a few things off my chest. Like, why is there even such a thing as war? Is one man's need for power worth my brother dying for? Why do people fall in love with drugs and give up on each other's love? And does forever really go on and on? And why don't dogs get to live that long? Now while I've got you on the line, those 10 commandments Moses wrote are tough. It's hard to love my neighbor all the time, 'cause he borrows and he breaks all my stuff. Oh, and why is there even such a thing as war? And is one man's need for power worth my brother dying for? Why do people fall in love with drugs and give up on each other's love? Does forever really go on and on? Oh, and why don't dogs get to live that long? Why do people judge each other by the color of the skin? And is one bite of an apple really all that big a sin? Oh, and who the hell created hate? Is it okay to say, for heaven's sake? And I know I'm going on and on and on. But why don't dogs get to live that long? Why don't dogs get to live that long?
Phillip Lammonds, our guest. What a great
Thank you,
song.
man.
Man, that's just a gem right there. Where can people find you?
I'm at, what the hell am I? I'm on Instagram, Phillip Lammonds.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
It's great videos there.
Yeah, and then I've got...
You got your own webpage, don't you?
Yeah, philliplammonds.com. Mm-hmm. And then, there's not a lot of struggle for people trying to grab that Phillip Lammonds thing out and then stealing it,
There's some great videos and stuff out there. And YouTube, you got a YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
One with you and Pam Tillis singing.
Yeah, it's at my house. Yeah. Pam Tillis is kind of like, she's sometimes the best I've ever been. She's that.
Wow.
She's a thing that brings such a elevation to the room and the conversation, and it's not gratuitous, or it's just a natural vibe that you go, I'm in the presence of something a little bit more
greatness.
Yeah.
Phillip, I can't thank you enough for coming to be on the show, and wish you the best with the record and your singles. Tell Lee we said hey, okay?
I'll do it. I'll holler at you back.
And for you folks listening, keep
I'll
writing.
get you a vinyl one too, buddy.
I would love that, very much so. Right on, folks. Thanks for joining us.
We hope you enjoyed this intimate glimpse into the world of songwriting and found inspiration in the stories shared by our talented guests. Remember, the magic of music lies not only in the notes and chords, but in the emotions and experiences woven into every lyric. Until next time, keep listening, keep creating, and keep the melodies alive.